Back in Los Angeles, Will's boss Phyllis brings Katie into her office and warns her that her family's safety depends entirely on their cooperation with the alien regime. She assures Katie that if she stays loyal to them, nothing will happen to her family. However, Katie's connection with the rebels continues to deepen, and she knows she must balance these delicate relationships. The story now shifts back to the rebel efforts. A new broadcast from Suriname is aired across the city, sparking hope in the people. Suriname, the rebel leader, delivers a passionate speech about resistance and the fight for freedom. But the police are quick to track down the source of the signal, storming the location where the broadcast is being made and arresting the man behind the microphone. However, this man is not the true Suriname. He's an actor, hired to play the role of the rebel leader. Snyder celebrates the arrest, believing they've finally captured the rebel leader. He informs the governor, proud of his success, but Will remains skeptical. His experience tells him that Suriname wouldn't be caught so easily. Will's instincts prove correct when, after an interrogation, it's revealed that the man is just an actor, and the real Suriname is still at large. As the city believes the rebel threat has been neutralized, Snyder takes further steps to control the narrative. He executes the actor publicly, falsely claiming that Suriname has been eliminated. This public execution is meant to calm the population, but Will knows the truth. The real Suriname is still out there, and the fight is far from over. Katie, realizing how dangerous the situation is becoming, approaches the rebel leader Alex once again, negotiating a deal to protect her family. She knows that the rebels want revenge on Will for confiscating their weapons, but she offers them vital information in exchange for Will's safety. She reveals that Phyllis, Will's boss, holds a secret database containing information on every citizen in Los Angeles. This database is how the police have been so successful in tracking down rebels. As tensions rise, the story reaches a climactic point where Will, unaware of Katie's full involvement with the rebels, continues to work for the regime, all while his son Brian discovers shocking truths about the alien occupation. The rebels, now armed with new information, prepare for their next move. Snyder and Will sitting in his car with his security team, who are real police officers. Suddenly, rebels group man hidden among the security guards shoots and kills the all officers. Following this, all of rebels quickly jump out of the car and begin shooting at Snyder's vehicle in an attempt to kill him. Fortunately for Snyder, his car is bulletproof, so the rebels try multiple times to break through it by shooting repeatedly. However, Wills manages to defend himself, shooting back at the rebels from within his vehicle. Eventually, he manages to swiftly turn the car around, escaping the danger and bringing Snyder back to his wife's wine shop. Upon seeing Snyder, his wife, Katie, becomes furious and says, "Why are you risking your life for this deceitful man? If he was dying, let him die." But Snyder responds, "I can't let him die until I get my son back." Meanwhile, Will's phone isn't working, so he rushes to a nearby phone booth to call for backup, asking the force to provide security for Snyder. On the other hand, Katie secretly calls the rebels, informing them that Snyder is here. She then engages Snyder in conversation to stall him. Just at that moment, Will's return and reveals a critical piece of information to both of them. The person they are looking for, under the name of Zira, is not just one individual. The Zira is used by a group of rebels who are all fighting against the aliens in their own ways. Will's wife takes him aside and pleads with him not to interfere if someone comes to kill Snyder. She asks him to prioritize saving himself, but Will doesn't respond to her. When Will returns to Snyder, Snyder reveals some important news. He tells Will that his team has found out where his son is and that they'll soon bring him back. At that moment, there's a knock on the door. Will opens it to find what appears to be a police officer. In reality, this officer is Bruce, a rebel who is aware of the situation. Katie lets Bruce in and secretly takes him to the basement, warning him again that her husband, Will, shouldn't be harmed in their plan to kill Snyder. However, Bruce is unable to guarantee this, saying, "I can't promise that." Will seems intent on interfering in everything. At the same time, Will has realized that the person pretending to be a police officer was a rebel in disguise, and that they were here to kill Snyder. Will quickly locks all the doors in the bar to prevent the rebels from entering. As Will is taking these precautions, Snyder tells him again that his son will be here soon, which infuriates Katie. She's had enough of Snyder's manipulative behavior, especially when it comes to using their son to blackmail them, so she begins to attack him. At that moment, we see that the rebels have surrounded the bar. They attempt to break down the door, but the locks installed by Will prevent them from succeeding. The situation is getting worse, and Snyder is visibly terrified. He pleads with Will and Katie. "Why are the rebels after me? I've never even met the aliens. I'm just following orders from the governor." But no one listens to his panicked words. Will tells Katie, "Take Snyder to the basement and hide. I'll deal with the rebels." As they're talking, the rebels throw a smoke bomb into the bar. Seeing this, Will quickly hides Snyder in a cupboard. Despite this, the rebels manage to break down the door and enter. One of the rebels points a gun at Will, but before he can shoot, Katie kills the rebel from behind. Will grabs his machine gun and begins fighting the rebels, and just as the situation intensifies, real police officers arrive and force the rebels to flee. Snyder is rescued by the police, but not before both Snyder and Will have seen Bruce inside the bar, leading to orders for Bruce's arrest. When the police arrive at Bruce's house, they find that the house explodes as soon as they touch it. Bruce, being a former FBI agent, knew the police would come for him and had rigged his house with explosives. To further convince the authorities that he was dead, Bruce arranges for a dead body matching his own physical characteristics to be placed inside a car, which he then burns. Bruce is working with his leader, Alex, and Alex tells him Katie is a traitor. She's playing a double game. On one hand, she's helping us rebels, and on the other, she's supporting Will. Meanwhile, Katie tries to contact the rebels, but her efforts are unsuccessful. Instead, she receives a message about a rebel meeting. When she arrives at the meeting point, she finds only Bruce waiting for her. Bruce confronts her, asking, "Why did you kill one of our own?" Katie responds, "I told you, no matter what happens, no one should harm Will. That rebel was going to kill him, so I had to act." But Bruce doesn't trust her and walks away. Bruce then meets with another ally and discusses how Alex has ordered Katie's assassination, but Bruce confesses, "She's a good friend, and I just couldn't bring myself to kill her." On the other side, Will meets Snyder again and informs him that Bruce wasn't just part of the Special Forces, he also worked for the FBI. Capturing Bruce won't be easy, but Will is determined. As a gesture of gratitude, Snyder shows Will a picture of his son who was found in a nearby city. Overjoyed, Will rushes home to show the picture to Katie. However, Katie warns him, "Snyder is playing with your emotions. He knows your weakness and is using it against you. Don't trust him." Will, desperate to reunite with his son, feels he has no choice but to continue working with Snyder, though he promises Katie that he'll break free from Snyder's control as soon as possible. Will resumes his search for Bruce and checks the fingerprints found at Katie's bar, confirming that they belong to Bruce. He then confronts Katie, asking if she's ever seen or known Bruce. Initially, Katie denies it, but when Will mentions that Bruce has killed over 14 people, Katie admits, yes, he came to the bar once, talking about living with his mom and dad. Meanwhile, the police are trying to locate Bruce's parents' house. At the same time, Bruce and Katie's mutual friend visits Katie. Katie, feeling troubled, asks her friend, "Is it true that Bruce killed 15 people?" Her friend responds, "Yes, he did, but in the kind of work we're doing, such sacrifices are necessary." Katie, visibly upset, says, "Do you know he was going to kill me too? I just narrowly escaped." Despite everything, Bruce was still her friend, and this put her in a conflicted position. Her friend tries to justify Bruce's actions, but Katie is no longer willing to risk her life. She secretly tips Bruce off, informing him that the police have found his parents' house and will soon be coming for him. When the police arrive, Bruce is nowhere to be found. Instead, Will only discovers a book in the house, the same one he had seen earlier at Katie's bar. The police also interrogate Bruce's neighbors, where we see Alex nearby. Alex, however, denies ever meeting Bruce, maintaining a clean facade. Meanwhile, Snyder visits the governor of Los Angeles. The governor informs him that the head of the Pacific region is sending an alien representative to inspect Los Angeles. Snyder, visibly panicked, asks, "Why?" The governor sharply replies, "Do you really think everyone is as foolish as you? Everyone knows that the situation in Los Angeles is far worse than what you've been showing in your reports. It's much worse." At this point, Katie had stopped collaborating with the rebels, but the rebels still needed her because of the information she could provide about Will. Her friend tries to convince her to rejoin the rebel group, but Katie refuses, saying, "My family's safety is more important to me." In retaliation, the rebel group begins plotting against Katie. Alex gives the order to reveal to Will that Katie has been a spy, passing information to the rebels. Alex meets Will on a train and introduces himself, revealing that he is the leader of the rebels and that Bruce is his brother. Alex proposes a deal to Will, asking for a free passage to move from one city to another. In exchange, Alex offers to betray his own rebel group and provide Will with a list of all the rebel operatives under Bruce's command. Will, stunned by the revelation, realizes that Alex had no genuine intention of freeing people from the alien rule. Instead, Alex was only concerned with consolidating power for himself. He had gathered so many people under his authority, not for liberation, but to maintain control. Now that he needed another kind of power, he was ready to betray his own people. This reveals Alex's true nature. He's not fighting for freedom, but for his personal gain. Upon learning this, Will informs Snyder, telling him Alex only wants to use his power for personal gain and is willing to betray the rebels to do so. Snyder, intrigued, asks, "I want to meet Alex personally." Later, when Will returns home, he tells Katie everything, how their supposed leader, Alex, was ready to betray them just for a passage to another city. Katie, shocked by the news, quickly contacts Bruce to warn him about Alex's deception. Meanwhile, we see Katie's son, Bram, who's with his teacher. They've built a powerful telescope through which they can see the surface of the moon. The surface of the moon appears strange and far more disturbed than it should be, clearly showing that the aliens are mining it. Thanks to Katie's information, Bruce confronts Alex, accusing him of betrayal. "Did you deceive us all for a passage to another city?" Alex denies it, saying, "No, you fool. Katie is manipulating you. Don't fall for her lies. Focus on preparing for the next operation." Alex continues to play both sides, maintaining his grip on the rebels while plotting his own escape. The following morning, we see that Will has arranged a meeting between Alex and Snyder. During this meeting, Alex makes it clear that he wants free passage to another city in exchange for providing Snyder with a complete list of Bruce's rebel groups. He also reveals that Bruce's next operation involves assassinating the Prime Minister.